convidamos ao palco o senhor Kenneth Rilley, vice-presidente da I.L.A. Internacional, para a palestra Principais Desafios e Conquistas de Acordos Coletivos do I.L.A. nos terminais portuários nos Estados Unidos.
Good afternoon. I thought I was done for today, but I wasn't prepared for this moment. I thought when I gave my remarks this morning, that was it, so my apology. Once again, I'm Kenneth Rilley, call me Kenny Rilley, out of the Port of Charleston, South Carolina. Been a member of the I.L.A. now going on 50 years. I have served as president in the Port of Charleston for some 27 years now, 9 consecutive terms. We have been faced with several challenges over the years as an international union, but we have survived, not only survived, but we have strived, we have grown, and we continue to be successful. As I said earlier this morning, we just got through with one of the most historic contracts in all of our 100 and some 30 plus years. And at a time when workers are experiencing difficulties in the workplace, we are seeing diminishing numbers of dock workers, not only in America, but globally, as a result of technology, automation. We learned our lesson back during the container revolution. As you know, containerization started on the east coast of the United States. Ships sailed from Houston, Texas, to the east coast with containers. We saw, back then there were over 65,000 dock workers in the Port of New York alone. Now from Maine to Texas, we might have 55 to 60,000 dock workers. That was the impact of containers. So we learned from that period of time we have to be adjusted. We negotiated something that's called container royalty. Those container royalties right now is like a tax on the containers. Every container that we do not actually load the cargo in or take the cargo out of those containers, there's a tax. And that tax right now is $5 per ton per container. 2 of those dollars go to the workers as a wage loss supplement. They've lost wages, lost man hours, so they are compensated for those losses. 3 of those dollars go to support our health care, some of the best health care in the world. Then it goes to our training and all other subsidies that we need. But now, this new wave of automation. We too have noticed and traveled the globe and see that no matter what they say, we will lose countless number of man hours and personnel to the type of automation that we are seeing. I remember in 2011, there was an automation conference in Sydney, Australia. Our current president, Harold Daggett, had just taken over. And he asked me would I go and represent the I.L.A. in Sydney. I did. And this conference was sponsored by the ITF, International Transport Federation, out of London. And that entire conference, there was only 2 unions that actually stood there and said that we do not see any reason why we should embrace this type of automation that we saw in Rotterdam and Hamburg and other places. It was the I.L.A. representative and a representative out of France, both at that time belonging to the International Dock Workers Council as well. As things have played out since 2011, we've seen what has happened in Australia. We know what's going on there right now, in Victoria, in Brisbane. We see what is happening at Pier 400 in Los Angeles. And we noticed that since that time until now, there are over 50 countries that are really embracing, and this automation is taking hold. And as we meet with some of our fellow dock workers, they'll tell us what the struggle is like. The I.L.A. visited the port of Brisbane, Australia. I was one of the delegates. And when we walked into the terminal manager said to us, "I hope you guys know you are going by the way of the dinosaur." And we said, "That's your opinion. That's the way it looks in your terminal. But we do believe that we have an answer to that, and it's called resistance." We are realistic. We know that the technology is there, and it's going to continue to advance. But don't underestimate our ability to resist. The I.L.A., the East Coast of the United States, we have one master contract from Maine to Texas, from Canada to Mexico. One master contract, one union, one stance. As I said earlier this morning, we know what we're up against. We're under no illusion. But our contracts are not with the terminal operator, even though they may be a part. Our contract is primarily with the ocean carriers. Even in this last negotiations, our current president, which many of us in the labor movement do not support, Donald J. Trump, who has an America First policy. He understood that if we allow foreign flag carriers to sail their ships into the U.S., automate the good-paying dock workers' wages and benefits, and take the profits back offshore, that's not in the best interest of American workers, because there's not one U.S. foreign flag carrier that's bringing containers in and out of the United States right now. So that fitted well within his platform. So then he came out and sided with the I.L.A. and helped us to get that contract done. So like I said this morning, everything we negotiated is for the life of that contract. Just for the life of that contract. And this is a 6-year deal. But for the next 6 years, and we are now 2 years into that, there will absolutely be no automation on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast of the United States. Zero. Our president and his executive council is not entertaining any semblance of automation. New technologies, something totally different. Like I said this morning, any technology that will help us become more efficient to deliver what we promise to our employers, the kind of productivity they need to not only stay in business, but to grow their business, we will support. But what we will not support is the elimination of our jobs. That's the same kind of stance we took with containerization when it first came around. We represent 36 ports. 36 ports. That what gives us the leverage to say, fine, if anyone anywhere in the world wants to embrace automation, that's fine, but not in these 36 ports. We are together, like I said, one union, one coast, one contract. What we were able to do, what we focused on this master contract, a historic master contract, was wage increases for our members. It was all about the workers. 62% increase in wages over the next 6 years. 62% increase. Wages that is meant not to keep up with inflation, but wages to exceed the inflation rate. Because that's the only way we're going to grow. If we're only getting wage increases that's going to keep us even with inflation, we are not gaining wealth for ourselves and for our families. Our health care, like I said, best in the world. Doesn't cost a worker $1 for our health care. No matter what the hospital bill is, could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, zero. Go to your doctor's appointment, your dental appointment, the clerk at the desk says, have a good day. So we put our wages and our health care, and now pensions. Every one of these ports has their own individual pensions. But in this master contract, we decided, well, all those pensions in different ports are not even. So what we decided to have on top of those pensions, a national pension that we negotiated as well. Because we work the same place, we earn the same amount of money, we can afford the same things as long as we are working. But the disparity came when we retire. Some of us may be able to take exciting vacations, live very well in our golden years, enjoying our pension. Others may have to still work. So what we decided to do to put in a national pension so that everyone can enjoy the benefits of all those years working and moving this world's commerce from port to port. And then, again, to go back one more time to tell you about that royalty, which really, I cannot say enough about it because I believe, at least in my travels, I've traveled quite a bit with the dock workers movement. I don't know, I haven't come across another union that when containerization came about, and we know there was going to be replacement of a lot of workers, said, well, we're going to tax that automation. We're going to tax that new technology. Every ton of cargo that we do not handle, we're going to receive some benefits from it. And that translates into wages, that's translated into better health care, because we could not afford, I don't think the employers could afford the kind of health care, the kind of pensions, and the supplemental wages we get had it not been for we taxing those containers. And you know what's so amazing about it? The industry can afford it. I heard Jordy said a while ago, we are now in the IDC. We organize in the west coast of Africa. And for a dock worker that's working at an MSC terminal in Togo, West Africa, making $20 to $45 a month. And a worker, let's see what time it is. A worker anywhere along the East Coast right now is making over $50 an hour until 5 o'clock per hour. And after 5 o'clock, $75 an hour. In Maine, they're making it $75. Charleston, Mobile, Alabama, Houston, Texas, one wage all around. But a worker doing the exact same work. We visited those terminals. And we saw the same ship-to-shore cranes. We saw the same tractors hauling containers back and forth. We saw the same containers being lashed for $40 a month. The disparity is unbelievable. So we are not burying our heads in the sand as East Coast dock workers. And if we're out there by ourselves, then we're going to be out there by ourselves, but we're going to be doing very well out there by ourselves. Now, you can say, well, we can divert the cargo somewhere else. Well, we just happen to be the largest importer in the world and the second largest exporter in the world. So you cannot play one port against another. The cargo must come to that trading bloc, which is the United States. And I know that all countries, all ports are not similarly situated. But to whom much is given, much is required. We would rather lead than to follow. We know this industry just as well as anyone else. We do our research. We travel the world. We spend the money. And we are now on a mission to continue to organize dock workers all around the world and to put in check those profits, as one of the slides said, people over profits. That's all I have to share with you this afternoon, so I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you.